I guess I'm live. Oh, it's 2:02, and I can't look at the date because I'm on my phone. But is it no, it's the 21st, or is it the 22nd? Is it the 21st? Now it's driving me crazy, and now I'm used to be able to look at my phone and see. So I don't know if it's. I think it's the 21st. I just saw a video talking about this whole situation with this plane that was. They told them that they couldn't land, and they were coming from France, and they were supposed to. Hey, Crystal. They were supposed to land in Detroit, and they're coming from France. And then, but I think it started yesterday, because in the video I saw today, it said it's the 21st, and they landed. They allowed them to land. And so she was telling more about what on with on the plane. But the guy I saw earlier before that video, he was talking about it on the 20th. So the girl who was just talking about it, she said that hey Sherry, the plane was supposed to land in Detroit, and then they messaged him and said, you guys can't land here, and rerouted him to Quebec or something, or Montreal in Canada. And so then they ended up allowing him to land in Detroit, but the pilot had come on twice. One of the times he came on and told them they were being rerouted, and then he came on about an hour later and he said, there's nothing wrong with the plane. But the passengers noticed that the flight attendants were putting these things on. So they started asking, what's the deal? Why are you putting these things on? If there's nothing, what's going on? And so they just said, well, we would advise you to put them on if you've got them. So I guess the people in business class, I guess everybody's just got one in their pocket. Do they have a? I don't even know. Everything's so ridiculous, man. So they, everybody started putting them on. So apparently now what the deal is that they had allowed somebody on the plane, like from the Congo. And if you don't know what's going on over in those places, there's like 3 places or something in Africa that they have said that the Ebola is now epidemic. So everybody's getting the Ebola, and that was the one when I was a nurse. That's the one that freaked me out, because you get it, you're a goner, and it goes pretty quick. And so now, if they're going to start telling us that we're being in, I don't even know, man. I mean, they go through. I just saw a lady who was talking about the TICKSs, and she said she was noticing these little scabs all over her fingers, and then she wasn't thinking much about it. And then she started thinking, well, why am I getting scabs on my fingers? So she started looking closer. No, they are TICKSs, and they're tiny, tiny, tiny. It's like, oh my God. God, we are under such attack. I can't even believe it. So the so we got all these different VIRUSs they're trying to hit us with. Then they've got the TICKSs. The EBOLA is, that's serious business. And what was it? I just saw a guy talking about. Oh, he was just talking about the El Nino or whatever, they keep on saying about, oh, we got big problems now with the El Nino. And which is kind of weird, because I swear to God, they've talked about the problems before, in the current changing directions or something in the ocean, and it was going to increase storms and all this stuff. Which weird storms keep going? Like there's storms headed for Ohio and Tennessee and stuff, I guess. And then a cold front that's going to mix with the heat, and that's going to create thunderstorms and tornadoes. But and in Wyoming, they're having a snowstorm. they've got roads closed down and stuff. So strange. So then what was I gonna say? Oh, the El Nino thing that this guy was saying. So he said that this thing that's happening hasn't happened since 1865. And when it happened in 1865, 50 million people died. Was there, I didn't, 50 million people. Like if it's like a percentage thing, like I wouldn't think you could just say, oh, it's going to be another 50 million, because he kept saying another 50 million is going to, but I mean, there was way less people back in 1865, wasn't there? Isn't there a huge increase in the population, what they've been telling us for a long time? So now all of a sudden, if this repeats, it was 50 million people who died then? Like what? So the now if it's so whatever he said it was going to all be about the drought and there's not going to be any food. So basically, there's not any food. I've been saying that about the food thing, and I don't know, if it's just a scare thing. Like I said, they made it a drought here, where they said we're in a state of emergency. But when I'm driving, I see all these people sprinklers the farms going, and their fields are green. So I don't know what everybody's growing, but I see a lot of stuff growing. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to supposedly get rain in a few days for a couple days. And, but it's usually just hot, hot, hot and windy. And so the, so I gotta not look at that. So I gotta stay focused. Okay. So the, the El Nino, the food thing. So I swear to God, I think it just is a lot of, we have to get in our heads like that we don't need all this food, that it's the part to create panic and to make us think we're starving. I just saw a lady, this is like an old video, and she was talking about that somehow, I don't know, I didn't see the whole interview or whatever, I just saw this snippet, and she said that they had taken her, like she came out of her body, and then she could see, she had to go to a certain vibration, a certain point, but she could see what she really looked like. And she said it's like you're all these little crystals, like these little orbs and crystals. That's what your energy looks like. And she said we all look the same. And that like if you were to look in the mirror and see your real self, you would just see all these little crystals and little light, like you're just energy. And I think that that's what we got to keep remembering, that we don't need to feed the energy like with food. We need to feed it with more energy, like plug in, like relax, take care of ourselves, keep ourselves centered and stuff. So I don't know, if they start with this trying to starve us out, it's gonna definitely, I mean, people are so programmed and indoctrinated into thinking that they've got to eat all this food or they're going to starve to death. So they're going to definitely create panic. And and I don't know if it's supposed to be hitting us this summer, or I think this guy was talking about it's supposed to be this summer. So everything's coming in faster. But this is one thing that was really getting me this morning. So I saw this video this morning, and it was one of these astrology people, and I've said this a zillion times, so I'll just say it again, is you got to remember that a lot of these people who are in the more spiritual or the more what is that word, the more diverse, the more outrageous, no, the more like the tarot readers, the astrologers, all of these people, that they are progressives. They're liberals in most cases. You don't often find, a conservative tarot reader or something. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them are in a certain perspective. And so they look at this world currently through, to me, it's almost like looking through dirty glasses. They're not seeing things clearly. They're seeing it through a certain perspective. In this, so this girl, and she had wild hair, and I don't know, maybe you guys all have all colored, tons of colors in your hair, but this pillow was like trying to crush me. I swear to God. Scoot it back. So, oh, maybe that's better. Oh, God, I'm so uncomfortable. I have been so motherfucking uncomfortable. I can't even believe it. Fuck. I barely got through yoga yesterday. It was killing me. I was even getting kind of irritated. I was like taking it personally. It's like, God, she's doing this on purpose to me. Like, it was intense. This lady, she does. Oh my God. I don't know for you, Crystal, what your person's like, but dang, man, she goes into so much stuff about like go out to airplane, you got your arms out and you're standing on one leg and your legs out and your arms are out, and then shift back and go into this and go into that. It's like, oh my God, I was being wiped out, and it was I'm sore. Like, I'm just like my muscles are and my joints and stuff are just really sore. And I don't know if it's this energy thing or whatever, but man, and everything, I was like shaking and stuff. I was like, oh my God. And then she's always having us do all this stuff, go fast, do all this. And then after I'm already tired, then it's like, now we're gonna do balances. It's like, oh my God. I'm sitting here shaking like I can't, no way. I'm barely standing up by myself on both legs. So, but I'm gonna keep pushing through. Eventually I'll be able to do all that stuff. I mean, because I swear to God, I think she's in her 70s. And she said yesterday, because there's no class Memorial Day, and she was talking about that she's going, I don't know, they're all chatty. No, nobody really chats with me. I don't know. But anyways, they're all chatty. And so she, I swear to God, she walked over to a one group and she goes, "Oh, you flat earthers over here." I was like, "What are you talking about?" But and I know, and there was another couple of people who were standing over there. I was kind of like, "What are they talking about?" But anyways, I'm not gonna go get involved in all their conversations. I don't I think they all kind of look at me like it's one thing when you're in Washington State, which is a progressive state, and you go out and you have a bunch of tattoos. Most people don't even look sideways. Here, I I'm standing on my own on this one. Like there is not people. It's way different. So it's like going out into the farm world. Okay, now it goes outside on YouTube. He went without food first. That's what I keep seeing. People who are going without food and they're doing better because they go through that autophagy or whatever. So yeah, I think that we got to really get in our minds. We're not gonna starve to death. We just got to look at it and it's our perspective. But anyways, so the what was I saying? The yoga was kicking my ass. The Oh, because the teacher, man, she can do so. I can't even believe this lady. But she was talking about her mother-in-law, and she said she's in her 90s. So I just keep thinking that the yoga lady has got to be in her early 70s. For all I know, she could be in her 80s, but I think she's be in her early 70s. But I mean, she could be in her late 60s. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell with people what their ages are because I don't know. It just becomes like a certain age, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I gotta start looking, I gotta start looking my age. It's like, so it can be like people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they all like are trying to look like their age or something. So, anyways, back on this other lady. So I don't know. Maybe you guys all have crazy rainbow hair. I don't know. But this lady had crazy rainbow hair. And normally, crazy rainbow hair is representative of people who are of a certain progression in the way they live. So she's talking about that guy I was talking about the other day. And I don't remember his name, but it seems that everybody's talking about his prophecy. So he had already said about the fall of the Kremlin or whatever that whole thing was. And I think he said it in the 80s or something. And then he said about the sickness, which he died in 2019, and the sickness occurred in 2020 and 2021, and he was explaining what was going to happen. And so then he said in 2026, so July 2026, that we were going to be living in a different world. And so everybody's like, oh, we're leading up to him. We're leading up to it. And all these things happening, which I don't know for you guys, but the energy is so intense. I cannot believe how weird I feel. And my dreams are so weird. I'm just going into these other worlds and having these weird, it's like so weird. And then I get up and it's like, it's hard to, it's like it feels like the same as being in a dream. Everything feels so weird. And then I'm going back through the past and memories coming where it's just like coming out of it's like this reliving, I don't know, to kind of shuffle back through your life and see where you've got hot spots. And whoa, I've got such a pile here trying to have my phone up and stuff. So anyways, I feel weird. The energy feels weird. My body feels weird. I feel uncomfortable. And it is whatever I was gonna say, just feels intense. So anyways, there's all these people talking about this prophecy that's going to go down in July. And so to me it seems like everything's kind of leading up to it. So we're leading into, like, things are going to be changing if we're going to be living different. And so she had said something about I think I've heard a couple people talking about something about the financial system and all these different systems that are failing. So kind of in those systems, for them to fail and for us to be going in a different direction, then we would be living different. So in order to be living different in July, we have to have these things be failing now so we can start going in a new direction, is what it seems to me. But the thing is this girl, so she is talking about, all this stuff that's going to happen and what he said and how he's so accurate, and in the astrology, and all the astrologers have been saying this, and the way the transits are, and this and that and the other thing. And then somehow she just slides it in there, in this administration, they're going down or whatever. And this is the part that gets me, is because all these people are progressive, so they all think Donald's bad, and that they are all in agreement, and they are all kind of make up a big part of the spiritual community. And which to me, where you should be is way more just in the middle, not picking sides. And they're still on a side, and their side is looking through the view of this world through tainted lenses. Like their lenses are dirty and they can't see it, and then they are speaking out about it. And it is they do it with like this smugness and this arrogance, and kind of like this certain smug authority over, the moral authority or something, because Donald's bad. And it's like, but it's how how they keep looking at him. They keep looking at the things he's doing, thinking he's doing this when he's doing that. So they're not seeing it clearly, and they keep thinking it's something different than what it is. And so when she was saying all this stuff, I was like, it is like the people who all are seeing through this tainted, smudged up lenses, that they are, it's like they're this change. It was like she was saying it was like I was seeing all of a sudden her shifting, and all the people like her shifting, and that being the shift. So all of a sudden, for the clarity for them to be able to see and be more supportive of the changes that are occurring, and stop trying to be the resistance. And So it seems to me that all these people, can you hear my wind chimes? See how windy it is? So windy. It's always so freaking windy. And the so for them to be like they're the resistant, they think like they're the moral authority, and then they put up all this resistance to everything he's doing because he's the bad guy, and he's the one who's bringing in all these big changes. You know, he's bringing in the Jubilee, he's bringing in the SAR, he's bringing in all this stuff to create the change that we are going towards. But they think he's going to fall, which opens up the change. And so I think so much of the is them seeing suddenly with clarity over what is occurring, and then being supportive of going towards the change. And then it is them uh let me see, I could see it so clearly this morning. It was just like this, like, oh, I could see it so clear. But it is but see how much they push on their ego, the way that they put it out there, like this moral authority, you know, like they're the ones that see, but they don't see clearly. But then that when it whatever it happens, that is what hits into their ego. So that's what starts the whole thing. And it's just weird. It's because they're the ones out there speaking about it, but they're speaking at it from, like, looking at it from the wrong direction. So they're speaking about it, they're getting these platforms, you know, but it's like the universe is kind of giving them the the stage and the noose or something, you know. It's like giving them the way for them to kind of hang, you know what I'm saying, themselves. Because then that's the healing and the growth comes from the humbling of the mind, being able to see what you don't see, and then to be able to acknowledge that you haven't seen everything, that you're not seeing it clearly. But the way that those people are out speaking out so much, and they're always circle back to, you know, yeah, and then we'll be done with him. Oh, he'll be gone. We'll be, and it's like, you guys, it's so weird. And so the, but that to me is the part that is their, the big pushover into this healing, into this, because it's all about the ego and the arrogance. And so if there just would have to be some events that are going to keep going. Doesn't it sound intense too, the way that it's going in the wind? Just sounds like it's going faster and faster. I swear to God, I feel weird. I feel like everything is like it's going faster and faster and faster. Like everything's going faster. The energy's like sped up or something. Everything feels so weird. But anyways, that is like the big, huge amount of people that are not awakened. And it's weird. This is the weird part. It's because they think they're so awakened. So, but they're aware or awakened to some things, but they're still being so misled by their ego. So that's like the big thing, the big drop that happens when they suddenly see. And it's weird too, because I had seen that one girl, I don't remember what she was, psychic, medium, whatever she was claiming, that she said that whatever her channeling, maybe she was channeling, I can't really remember, but she said she was all, you know, down on Donald all the time when she would talk, and saying, oh, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, and it's always, you know, we'll be rid of him and he's going down and stuff like that. But then she said she did a video talking about that once all this stuff happens, that all the people are going to be looking towards the MAGAs as with a totally different look, the way they look at him. Like now they look at him as like they're crazy, they support this monster, there's something wrong, but they're going to suddenly see him as being like, oh my God, thank God for them. Thank God that they could see. Thank God that they were going in this direction. But that doesn't mean like the MAGAs are all, are all, don't have their own things, their own obstacles. Because one thing about a lot of the MAGAs is they're stuck in the loop or the storyline of religion. And so they have a lot about either a savior or rapture, whatever. So they have some things on their own to overcome. So it's not like that they're all just like, um, way ahead of these ones, but they are supporting the right person in the situation, and they're seeing the stuff he's trying to do by taking down all these crooks and criminals and these pervs. And one thing I was thinking about too, because I was watching, somehow I got into this movie algorithm of affairs, and one of them I really liked because it had they're all old. Oh, what is his name? I think he's a Canadian actor. He's like from a long time ago. I can't think of his name, but he was in one of them, and I just really liked that actor. And it was like a typical story though, but it had a whole moral thing, because that was like the thing when I was growing up. It was all about your morals, and this one was showing like if you don't have morals, how things are going to go the wrong way for you. And so it had a good storyline because the girl who he was having an affair with just happened, and then he didn't want to leave his wife. They've been married 20 years and had kids, but he really wanted to leave her because he loved this girl. So this girl, she became friends with somebody else who was having an affair with this other guy, and um, so she was like in the mistress group, and the God, it sounds intense. And then that guy blew that girl off for a younger girl. And so that girl was devastated, lost all of her, she was losing all the stuff because he paid for it, her car, her apartment, everything. And it made this other girl start really seeing things like, she's just got to get her act together. She can't just be waiting around, because this other girl had been waiting for 3 or 4 years, but she wasn't putting pressure on him. She thought putting pressure on him or any of that stuff was going to destroy their relationship. So she ends up, the other girl leaves him and goes and gets back into her life. So it shows, if you keep trying to destroy marriage, it's going to destroy you. And if you get yourself together, you can pull your life out. And then last night, I was watching this old Betty Davis movie. Oh my God. I've got to tell about it. It had so many good things, and it had so much about, uh, when you try and force things, and you don't know what's to come, you mess up. And so I'll tell that one in a second, because there's this other two. I'm telling you, I'm on such an algorithm of these affairs. One of them though was a doctor, and this one was a true story. And it was a doctor, and it was about him having an addiction to the PORN and to sex. So he's just going out and sleeping prostitute, all this stuff. So it was all about his journey to healing and getting counseling and going to sex AA, and saving his marriage and this whole thing. So that one was a true story. Now I'm watching this other one I haven't finished because it's really long. And I think that guy was a doctor. This other one's a dentist. And he's also such a skeezer. God, he's such a skeezer. And I think in this one though, he kills her. But he's also got an addiction to the PORN and the ladies of the night. So anyways, two of the ones so far have been true stories. But this Betty Davis one was so good. So I'm going to totally tell, I not get comfortable, spoiler on this show. So it's called Dead Ringer. And so it was these, Betty Davis plays both sisters. So the one sister, she used to be the good sister, and she had a boyfriend who was in the service. Well, the bad sister stole him away. So she stole him away and said she was pregnant and left the other sister high and dry, and she went off with the fella. And so the sister who was left, she never wanted anything to do with her sister again. So they hadn't seen each other, spoken in 20 years. And the husband dies. So, and the other lady, she never got married or anything. And the one who got married, she ends up being super wealthy. I think he came from a really rich family. That's why the other sister was going all in on him. And so she'd been living like as a rich person for a long time, like there's chauffeur, maids, everything. And living in the family house. The so then the husband dies. So the other sister comes back around and she goes to the funeral because she hears that the guy has died. So she goes to the funeral, and the rich sister sees her and invites her over to the house. So she goes over to the house, and the rich sister it kind of just shows you where they're at and what has happened. And so the snooty sister, she she's even like, well, we just need to get over it. And the other sister's like, you're the one who screwed me over, and you didn't even care about him. You stole him away from me. And she's all pissed off. And she goes, well, I couldn't help it if I got pregnant. And she goes, well, what happened to the baby? And she's like, well, he died. And so she's like, well, when did he die? And she's like, well, he was like a year old. So she gives her this whole other story. So then she's going home because she owns like this little club, this little nightclub. And it's like a real little bar kind of thing. And it's called a cocktail lounge or something. And so she goes, the chauffeur is driving her back home. And so she asked the chauffeur, about the baby before it died and stuff. And she said that he's like, there's never been any baby. There's never been a baby. So this is the one sister. Now she's turning into the bad sister. She's mad, boy. She is big mad. And so she is going to get even with the rich sister. So she tells the rich sister to come over, and then she switches the clothes out and stuff so it looks like that it's her, and she's going to take over the other one's life. So the one that owns the club, so the girl who was the good Betty Davis who turned into the bad Betty Davis who offed her sister, she had a pursuer, and the guy who was pursuing her was a guy off the police force. And but she was resistant. She's always been in love with this other guy. She never got over it in 20 years. And so she kills still snoring. She killed her sister and took over her life. So she goes, oh yeah, and the one Betty Davis, the one that had the bar, she smoked. The other girl didn't smoke. So she had these certain habits that the other one didn't. So it was kind of suspicious to some of the people. But so she goes back and she starts trying to live this other lady's life. And so she's trying to pretend like that she's the other lady. And most of the people don't catch on. And it's been like a few months, and she does all sorts of things. Even, she was going to have to sign papers, and she burns her hand so that she can say, oh, my hand's injured, I can't sign, because she was up all night trying to match her sister's signature. She couldn't do it. And they're investigating the death of her, but it's really her sister, but they don't know that, which is kind of funny. Like, do they not do fingerprints? Because you wouldn't have the same fingerprints. So I don't know. It's kind of funny. But anyways, so she she doesn't, she just goes about, and she gets more comfortable living as her. And, it's not as suspicious, or there's not people around who are really suspecting it. But the cop keeps coming around for one reason or another. And then she gets invited to this party from this lady. And you could tell how this lady's talking to her that they were pretty, I don't know, like cheaters or something. And so then she sticks her in a room and she's like, Tom's in there. And she's like, Tom? And so she pushes her in there. And Tom, I think his name was, he was good looking. He was good looking. He was a golf pro. And he was, that's who she's been having an affair with. So she doesn't know she's having an affair with this guy. This guy is all over her. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And she keeps pushing him off and stuff. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And so then the cop shows up and he starts saying some stuff about the other lady's murder and or death. And so Tom is hearing all this stuff. And because now he's shown back up. She left the party, but now Tom keeps coming around because they're a couple. They've been a couple for a long time. And she had no idea. And so, because she was married anyways. But so she, when this cop comes and starts questioning her about her sister, then the Tom guy, he's like, what? What are you talking about? You have a sister. And so he figures it out quick. He's like, oh, you're Edith. You're not Margaret. And so then he's blackmailing her. So she's got to pay him to not tell. And because now he knows you killed Margaret and you've taken over her life. And if you don't want me to tell, you better pay me. And she's rich, so she's got all these jewels. So she's giving him all these jewels. He's going down to the pawn shop. Well, this gets back to the cops now. So the cops know he's out pawning this lady's jewelry. So they're suspicious. So they go search his house and then they find arsenic. So she, and then at the reading of the will, the guy who had died, the guy who she had never gotten over, he was leaving her $50,000. And she was in a destitute kind of situation. Her bar was 3 months behind or something. So anyways, this guy was leaving her $50,000, which is a lot of money for back then. And so right there is like she made a wrong choice because she had this money coming. She couldn't see it yet. So she decides to offer her sister when she had this money coming. She could have been free and clear without all this rigmarole. So now, so that's already getting to her. Like, man, I could have had that money. I didn't have to do all this. And so now they've gone and searched Tom's apartment and found this arsenic. And well, now they know that so the sister who she's pretending to be and the boyfriend actually offed the guy. So now she's so mad because they killed the guy that she was in love with for all these years. And this whole thing goes down where she's arguing with Tom now, and she wants him out. And the dog, they have this Great Dane. The Great Dane attacks him and kills him. And so then she goes down for the murder herself. So she ends up having to go to the gas chamber for killing her husband, but actually she killed her sister. It was so twisted. But it so much was about, because she had no idea what she was getting herself into, because she was trying to, it was such a big part about in life, letting things happen and not pushing and trying to force things. Because if she would have just let things happen and she wouldn't have stayed in her anger and her bitterness and her resentment, then she would have just got that money and she would have been fine. She would have been out of all of her financial problems. But instead, she pushed and she had to miss out on that. And then she had to go down for killing her husband. So it was completely insane. Anyways, so it was really good, and it had like a whole moral thing in it, so I really like that. And that's the one thing too about all these movies I've been watching, that they've got this whole moral thing because there are all these affairs and stuff. Now I've got a whole bunch I've got sitting in my queue thing, waiting for me to watch them. But anyways, I really like the Betty Davis one. It's called Dead Ringer, if you want to watch it. And I think it was like 2 hours. You know what's weird too is it used to be movies were always like 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and then it started going below 2 hours. Now most movies are like an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 25 minutes. And then for a while, even when it became movies an hour and a half, it was like, geez, boy, they're really shrinking these movies, especially when at the time when movies were like 2 hours long. Like we were paying, I know when I very first started going to the movies, it was like a quarter. Then it went up, and then it's like $1, and it's like $1.25. And it's $2, and then all of a sudden it's $15 or something to go to a movie. I don't know, it's ridiculous. But you wanted your full 2 hours. You're paying for that 2 hour movie, and then they kept shrinking it, shrinking it, shrinking it. It's so weird now how movies are so short. And but this movie, the Betty Davis one, is like an hour and 55 minutes. This other one I'm watching about the dentist, who I'm sure kills this lady. She it's like 2 hours and 35 minutes. It was probably a mini series, because I swear to God, I think it's a made for TV movie. Where are I gotta not look at the thing, because I never know what's really going on in the conversation. I start trying to say. So start trying to answer questions that I don't even know if they're for me. But anyways, so if we go back to the whole thing with so if they start coming in with more of these storms and more droughts and less food and more problems, then yeah, we're going to have a lot of people who are going to go crazy, and we will have people who will die. But I swear to God, it's not just dying of starvation, it's dying out of going and fighting somebody for food. And it's really weird too. What was that? Because it was something I had just seen, and I had just been talking about this. You know what? This is coming into my mind that I just saw. This lady, so this lady was doing a video, and she said that her and her husband and their family, they moved into a house. It's like their dream house. They love this house. Everything about it's great. They love their yard. They love everything about this house. And that they have these two neighbors, and it's a man and a woman. And she said that they didn't really ever talk much, and just kind of wave or whatever. But she said that one day she's sitting outside, and her 1-year-old starts, taking off running, and runs on this woman's driveway. Well, the woman's outside too. And she starts getting really mad. She starts threatening this 1-year-old. She's going to, if he comes into her yard, she's going to run over him, like all this crazy stuff. It like sounds crazy. And so the woman calls her husband. He says, call, make a report to the police. So she calls and does that. The police come out to try and talk to the woman. The woman's taken off, so I can't get a hold of her. So then the next day, the woman comes out waving a GUN and saying, if guys come over here on my yard, I'm going to SHOO you. I'm going to just do you in. And so she's made threats over, she's going to do them in with a GUN. She's going to run with a car over. And then there was another one that was like, what in the wacky? So she calls again. The husband says, call the police. So they call the police. The police come out, and they tell her to go down to the courthouse and get this order, because they can do more if she gets this protective order thing from her crazy neighbor. They go try and talk to the neighbor. She's taken off again. So then they come, the neighbor comes back, I guess, while the cops are there. So the cops go over and start trying to talk to her. So the lady starts threatening the cops. She starts telling the cops, you better stay off my property, or I'm going to SHOOT you. And the cops start saying, well, we can take you in just for going out and waving this thing around. That's menace, some kind of charge, and called menacing or something. So she said, I don't care. You try it. You try it. I've always wanted to go out as the cops taking me it's like assisted suicide by cop kill or something. This woman, and so she's out here now. She's not just fighting with the neighbors, she's fighting with the cops. She's telling the cops to just do her in. That's fine. She's always wanted that drama, anyways. And so I don't know if they took her in or whatever, but the lady is having to go back to court to try and get a longer order of protection against this wacko neighbor. They may have taken her in once, but she just is, I don't know, I guess she just keeps getting worse and worse. But this is the same thing as like where there's so many people out there that are just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. It's like, oh my God. I mean, I guess, like if if you've been healing and working on yourself and paying attention, then, you get like the energy's intense and it's going through all the stuff so you're able to keep yourself more balanced. But it's like some of these people are losing it. Like, I can't even believe, like, I mean, the lady going out and running over the ducks. The ducks were driving her crazy. So she just goes out and runs over the ducks. The lady who went out and poured the bleach all over the cat food, she's been busted now. So she's gotten taken in. And it's just like, man, there are so many people who are getting just crazier and crazier and crazier. So yeah, there will be people who will definitely die from, but probably over fighting. There's something about, keeps trying to come into my head, but I can't see it very clearly. Because I was talking about it before with the depression, and that people, like even if somebody hadn't eaten in 2 days and they got a sandwich, and then they would, if somebody else was there and hadn't eaten, they would share it with them. And then nowadays, though, we live in this world where, somebody would hide their sandwich so that they didn't have to share it with somebody. They don't care about other people. That's what it was. It was something I had seen, and it was just like such a confirmation over how much people just don't care about other people. I remember. I think this is what it is. That escalator situation. What in the world? I just, so the guy who was on and the guy is like 38 or 39 years old. He's not even freaking, like, this is young. So he's on, if you haven't seen it, so he's on the escalator and going down. Well, he falls or trips or something. When he does, the escalator's going, and it sucks his coat, clothes, or scarf or something, which is like, why do you even have a scarf on? But I don't know. Whatever his situation is, it starts sucking him down, which I keep on thinking, like, is this like this story just going back around? Did this happen like in the winter? And then we're just now, I don't know. There's so much weird stuff. Like there was a video I just had seen where, and I don't even know if it's true, but the girl who's the pretend daughter of Barack is out wearing an MAGA hat. And I don't know if it's photoshopped. I don't know. Supposedly there's a whole thing, and supposedly there's a whole conversation where somebody was asking her why she was wearing it, and she thinks her dad destroyed the world and Donald's here to fix it. I don't even know though. But so the escalator, so he's going down the escalator. He gets stuck. So he's on the bottom, and his clothes are getting into the thing and getting wrapped up, and he's choking out. And so people are there. There's like people going to go on the escalator, and then they just go on to a different way. They don't want to be bothered. People walking past him, like nobody stopped to help this guy. And there's an emergency button right at the end of the escalator. You just push it and stop it. Nobody was stopping and helping him, trying to get his clothes off. Nobody stopped the escalator. Nobody did anything. And not until he was dead. And nobody even called 911. He was dead for like 20 minutes before somebody even called 911. I swear to God, our world is like, we really do live around people who are just like zombies, just going through the motions of living, not connected to anything. Just, how do you even look and you see somebody choking out and you just turn the other way and walk? I don't understand it. My first instinct would be run down there and try and help him get his clothes off, because I didn't even know there was an emergency push button. Now it's like, oh, okay, well, so now we know there's an emergency push button at the end of the escalator. You just push it and stop the thing from moving, which is kind of weird, because if it's just right out there in the open, you'd think that kids and stuff would be messing with it, but supposedly there's a button there. I don't know. And you just push it and it stops the thing from moving. But still, no matter what, it seems like somehow it'd be trying to help the guy get his clothes off. I mean, it just seems like the most wacky situation. And I just can't even believe how many people just don't care about other people. They don't care about what's happening, and it's just weird. It's like, man, you go out and something happens to you. Well, we'll just figure people are just going to walk on by, just like the lady who was on the subway. And then that crazy guy starts like psychoing on her. And she's blood going, and everybody just sat there. That is weird. That is so weird to me. Like, I think if I was sitting on the subway, let's just say I was sitting on the subway, and some girl was sitting there, and then all of a sudden this guy jumps up and starts, "Ah." I think jump on the guy's back. Jump on the guy's back and put your arm around his throat and try and take him down, choke him out. And I don't know, it'd probably just be you wrestling, but you'd think that more people would be like, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. Well, let's get up and help. And maybe, they would take some responsibility in trying to help a fellow man, but nobody does anything. They'll just sit like, ooh, somebody gonna think I'm weird if I help. It's like, I think you're weird if you don't help. But I don't know. Is everybody just super scared? Like, oh, something might happen to me. Well, God, can you imagine? Like, you just think like, I don't know, like, are you in some kind of trance and all of a sudden you realize, oh, he died, and you just walked past, you didn't try and do anything to help? That just says so much about you. Like, whatever it is, like, that would be something that you would, like, how would you forget about that? It seems like something you would just carry with you. Like, I don't know if everybody's like, all these people are like in some kind of weird trance state or what. It's weird. I'm glad I'm not in a big city, man. I'm glad I'm not around all these people who are so kooky. Because like going up to the Y, there's a lot of people at the Y, which I really like this Y. But everybody just seems normal. Everybody seems nice and friendly, and there's all kids going up and playing. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Tons and tons of old people, like everybody's up there. And nothing seems weird. Nothing seems wacky. It doesn't seem like there's any like real creepos walking around. And there's a few people who just sit at a table reading and stuff, but maybe that's where they have to go read. I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for their next class. So, I don't know, it just doesn't seem creepy. But man, going in some of these places, like in the cities and stuff, seems like, God, there's weird stuff going on. And then plus in that one in Newark or whatever, and them closing down all those places for people to get food. Like, are they going to do that? We're going to be bringing in more sickness and closing down places. It just seems like the best thing to do is just take care of yourself and really start seeing. I swear to God, I think it's important to really start seeing yourself more as your internal or your eternal being, not pulling more and more free from this concept of flesh and blood, and that what you need, and because even in that, where you think like, your flesh and blood, somebody could hurt you, then it holds you back from helping somebody, instead of thinking, well, I got to live by integrity. I got to help somebody if they need help and put myself at risk. Even if something happens to me, I'd rather, that I lived knowing that I did something to help than to just turn my back. So I don't know. I feel like it was such a big part of realizing, and focusing more on your internal being, your eternal being, your soul, the part of you that's real. Oh, get this too. I saw this video this morning. So, this lady, she was holding this kid. This kid, I would say, looked like he was like 18 months, um, maybe 2 years or something. I mean, it wasn't an infant. And it looked a little bit bigger than a toddler, even, but it would definitely be like a toddler, older toddler. Because so she's holding it, and so it's like, I don't know, his like butt is down here, and then his legs are dangling, and his legs are dangling down past her waist. And so she's crying, she's bawling her head off. They just, her daughter has got issues, but they just did an MRI or CAT scan or something and came back and said her daughter doesn't have a brain. And for one thing, this is like your daughter's already been alive. So she's already living for however long. If she's a year and a half, 2 years old, or whatever it is, I mean, she's been going this long without a brain. And I said in the comments, because this is the thing to me, is like when I came out of my body. So my real part of me, the part of me that's real, when it came out of the illusion of the body. So when I came out and I was going across the room, and I was sitting here thinking, I was moving, I was like, I felt exactly the same. Did not feel like, oh, I'm missing my body. It didn't feel like anything. It felt like nothing. I felt exactly the same. And then, and like I was talking about the other day, realizing like, oh, we don't need a brain. We don't need a brain. We don't need a heart. We don't need anything. We're alive without all that stuff. And so, but then, I mean, I was talking about the other day, and I got a brain injury, and then I saw, whatever. I was talking about all this stuff the other day. But so then I see this video. So I said in the comments that, well, when I came out of my body and I realized you don't need a brain. And so maybe she's here to teach the world that you don't need a brain. That's like a part of a trap. Like, well, I got to have a brain or I'm going to die. And she's still been alive for a year and a half or 2 years without a brain. And so I was like, maybe she's here to teach the world something. Don't give up on her. Don't put her down because they said, well, she don't have a brain. It's like, I don't know. It seems to me that would be, like for a purpose. I mean, it would be one thing, if she would just had her and she was like this infant, and then she's, not being able to do anything, like, well, she doesn't have a brain, she's going to die. But this girl just found out that they're saying her daughter doesn't have a brain, and her daughter's already been alive for a while. And I looked at some other videos, and her daughter wasn't just laying there like a vegetable. She interacts, she smiles, she may not talk or walk or anything, but she was definitely not just a vegetable. And so I don't know, because I mean, I know that we really don't. That's kind of a part of them keeping us trapped, and oh, well, we need this or we need that. It's like a way to keep us limited and be dependent. Because I don't know, I think that could be fantastic. That could be so cool if this girl just kept getting older and older and she didn't have a brain, and then people start being like, well, how is she alive with no brain? Because her soul is just what's driving her. She doesn't need a brain. Her soul is just, using this vehicle, and it's like, doesn't need a brain. Even we've been told, like, you can't live without a brain. And plus, how many people that they keep on, because they keep doing that diagnosis is, well, they're brain dead. And there it keeps being, and that one doctor had said there's no such thing. And if they weren't saying, oh, well, we need their parts, let's just do them in, take their parts, they're brain dead, there's no help. But if you were to take them home and just let them slowly come out of it, then eventually they would just come back. Once their body had finished healing, they would come back, and but they're trying to cut that off and take their parts. I mean, even that story going around about the girl who was in the coma. What was it like? She was in a coma for 3 years or 3 months, and I don't think it was 3 years. I think it was 3 months. But in that 3 months, she had lived this whole life that was like 7 years. Is she went through the whole thing of being pregnant 2 different times. She went through her kids getting older to the point where they had decided, she was lived 7 years, and it was I think it was 3 years ago that she woke up, and she still is in a depression over not being able to get back to her kids, not being able, because it was so, she said it was so real. And it's weird too, because they had just done that Hallmark movie about that. But in the Hallmark movie, she is it was like a premonition. So she thinks that she lived this life with this, had these kids and this husband, and she wakes up from uh, a coma or whatever, and then she finds out, no, she's never been married. She doesn't have any husband or kids, and she's very upset. She's like, I've got to get back to my husband and my kids. What's going on? This is so weird. And she thinks she's woke up in a different reality or something. But then she meets the guy who's going to end up being her dad, who's going to end up being her husband. And so they played it off in that movie, in one way, um, but it could, I mean, now we've got all this more, I don't know, awareness of this timeline jumping or reality jumping. And what was that? Because I was just seeing something about, was it the ocean and all the portals in the ocean? And I can't see it clear enough. But but um this world is so much different than what we've been told. And I think, you know, I think it's already a miracle that this girl's been alive that long without a brain. I think the other girl, if she was just like, she, in this reality, she seemed like she was in a coma, but really she was from a different reality where she really did have these kids. And then she comes into this reality, and then they tell her, no, that reality didn't exist. But she knows, because she said she can remember all this stuff. She remembers being pregnant. She remembers all these different feelings. She remembers what it felt like to have her baby moving inside of her, just this whole thing. And but any of the things that happen, science or the doctor, whoever, is going to tell you, oh no, that's not real, that's not real, didn't really happen, or whatever. But the more that we become aware of, this world and how different it is, and how different is from what we've been taught, then yeah, it's possible. It's very possible. Totally, it could be in a totally different reality than you wake up and you're in this other one. And it seems like, to me, almost like a coma is like the perfect portal. So for reality jumping or whatever, to go from one into another, and through the means of your consciousness not being bound to this one, and going off and living in this other one. So, but they would just say, oh, it's just a dream. But I don't know. I don't know. I think all this stuff in this world is so much different than what we've been taught. And plus, so much just about, so intense about just our energy, and us, what we really are. And the one girl who was talking about it too, she said, and we all look the same. And that's what's weird too, is how people are so divided over, what they look like and stuff. And it's like, well, on the inside, we all look the same. And it's not just like, oh, we're all made of flesh and blood, we all got guts. And it's not that. It's not that. It's the power plant, or the energy the battery pack of you, what gives you life, is the same as everybody else. Like, we're all the same. And it doesn't matter if you're from a different planet. It doesn't matter if you're reptilian. It doesn't matter if you're Anunnaki. It doesn't matter if you're Nordic. It doesn't matter if you're gray, a tall white, whatever. All of the things were all powered by the same energy. Like, if we come out of our avatar and we just see what is the energy, then we're all the same. And that's one thing I think that's important. If that is going to be a big part of what's to come over the next few weeks, which, don't forget too what they've said about this atlas, or this thing that the NASA said that within, because what is this today now, like day 14 or 13, because they said 16 days we're going to have something's landing, or someone's landing or something. So if that's going to be the thing, because so many people are going to freak out, oh my God, I'm so scared of aliens, or, because they are indoctrinated from the movies, and they're scared of what the aliens are going to do or whatever. But you got to remember, they're just like the ones that we've already been living with, the ones that have been in control of this realm. They are the bad ones. But the ones that are going to be coming, they're going to be the good ones. So we've already been living amongst the bad ones. We've already had the bad stuff. The bad stuff is about mind control. It's about sucking your energy out, because that is what the real goal, the real value, what is that called? The real, um, the frequency, the value, the the thing that has the most value, what really is the valuable part of you, is the energy. And that's what they are using by sucking your energy out of you. So that's the currency. That's the true currency, is energy. And so they aren't, I mean, in some cases, yeah, they consume you, they eat you and stuff like that. But I mean, on the bigger scale, they are consuming our energy. So they are taking from us the energy that we could be using living free, but instead we live in the parameters of their reality, and then they suck out all the energy of our struggle and our sadness, but the part of us that feels defeated, the part of us that like can't get ahead, and we struggle and we do this and we do that and we just don't get anywhere, and then they live off of that energy. So where people are so worried over what are the aliens going to do, well, they've been doing it. They've been sucking your energy. They've been taking it. The other ones aren't coming to suck your energy away or to eat you or whatever. They're coming to show us about new technologies and how to make the world a better place, how to clean up the toxins, how to live, and then plus big part of it is the truth behind the spirituality, because yeah, they've got people trapped in religion and stuff like that, but to have the truth of the history, and when people want, like, oh, the history of humans or whatever, but it's the history of life is the bigger thing, and it has all the souls. Like, um some of the souls that are around are old. Like, some of us are old. We've gone and lived in, like, Atlantis and Lemuria. We have been parts of the creation of other places. It's like our true history is way beyond just, the parameters of Earth. We go way beyond that. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for them to start coming and telling, and giving us information. But then there's going to be resistance when it comes to that. There'll be so many people, because it's already been set up. There's all these people who are already in, oh, well, they're demons. They're coming to trick us. They're trying to make us not love Jesus or something. And it's I would say they're coming to tell us the truth and to help us move forward. And that could very well be a big part of where, however it is that, things are going to change so much. So I hope, but no matter what, even if it is in the middle of July that we start living differently, I still say that's not going to be the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is still, because there's not going to be, like, you just got to think of it logically. How is it take, like, and we're talking weeks away, how would it take these people who are so locked in to the resistance of the truth? They're so locked into it. How would they heal all their stuff? How would they heal their ego? How would they heal all of that within a matter of weeks? And then all of a sudden we're in the age of Aquarius. How are all these people who are so trapped in the concept of religion, how do they suddenly heal it all in a matter of weeks? And then suddenly we're just, oh, it's the age of Aquarius. We're all happy. It's heaven on earth. No, we got to work towards that. This is just going to be the unveiling. This is just going to be, but there is going to be a huge amount of people who are prepared, who are ready for the unveiling. And they're going to be going on a different frequency, a different freeway, a different point of existence, while the other people are down here like trying to figure it out. But the light will be in, so to make it easier to figure out, because those of us who have been figuring it out along the way, we've been figuring it out in the dark. So the light will come in, and then they'll be able to see it more clearly, but they've got healing to do. So I would say when they're talking about we're going to be living different, I would say, yeah, probably it'd be more to do about honesty. Like, well, our conversations would be a lot different if the truth is coming out, and it would be about the financial. So, because it would seem like they're trying to hit us so hard with so many things at one time. I mean, like, it's insane. Droughts, all this stuff. It's like, boy, we're going to get them. And in the meantime, we're going to scare the shit out of them. So, if they're coming at us with all these things, that like sends it over the edge, that the pole shift happens, it all switches and goes the other direction. And so then if we which the money thing, and the money thing is a big part of it. And so the Jubilee, then that would be a big thing. We will be living way different if our perspective's different, if we're more aware, if we aren't trapped under the currency of enslavement, and we are living more free, and we are going towards free resources. We're starting to build different. So I can see that there could be a lot of things that are going to be different, but that still doesn't mean that it's just the age of Aquarius, because the age of Aquarius will be when the people are healed. That's what will bring in the age of Aquarius. It's when everybody just loves everybody. Everybody's just accepting. In the big part, you cannot love and accept everybody else when you don't love yourself. And when you haven't faced your own ego, then you have that whole thing is like ahead of you. So all these people who are out there, and it's I mean, so many of them are like leaders in the spiritual community, and they are, anti-Donald, so it's like this huge humbling of their ego. And so when they are exposed for their ignorance, and they feel the shame and the guilt and the pressure, and then plus they've been on the stage speaking. So, yeah, they've got a lot of ears hearing the stuff that they say. So that's a lot to overcome, because then it wasn't like just talking to yourself saying things. No, you were telling people. Everybody knows. So so I think that's going to be really impactful. And so, yeah, you can't enter Age of Aquarius when a huge part of the population is in that kind of state of mind, of sad, shame, guilt, ignorance. They have to overcome all those. They have to surrender. They have to overcome those. But that is in that movement. That's what creates the age of Aquarius. It's that movement towards learning how to love themselves. Because learning how to love themselves, that's when they can love everybody. And the age of Aquarius is all about love and acceptance. And it's heaven on earth. Well, what do the heavens offer? Everybody who dies and comes back says they felt so accepted, they felt so loved. Well, this world, I mean, shows what it is when you're around a bunch of broken people. Like, we're seeing it with so much clarity. So it's like it's so zoomed in, like you can see it so clear. So yeah, why then we would be in the age of Aquarius? Like that doesn't even make sense because there's so many people who are like, oh, it's the age of Aquarius. We're already in the age of Aquarius. It's like, dude, what do you think the age of Aquarius is? And so to me, the age of Aquarius will be the beginning. I mean, we're going to definitely have a different way of the currency, the different money situation. We're going to have a different way of lifestyles, more freedom in lifestyles, more people living into their own dreams and how they want to live, not so much having to be forced to live. And there's going to be improvement in relationships because right now, I mean, we got people who manipulate and trick people into being in relationships with them. Like, you got people who go after people just because they have money, they don't care about them. So there's going to be big changes in our relationships, and big changes in the money, big changes in resources, big changes in how we live. Big changes, but I think big changes in the food, the big changes in the medical. And so we got all these things that are going, that we're going to be changing and going through all this change. But a big one is, seeing with clarity and not seeing through someone else's eyes that is manipulating you. That is the view that so many people have, is through the fog of somebody else's manipulation in your perspective. So all those things have to, so there can be changes. There can be a lot of things happening, but that doesn't just mean it's age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius will be the new age, the new thing of living in a different kind of world will be when the people change. The people have to change. So, like, so anyways, I know, there's all these people, oh, the and the people who are just like, oh, the solar flash is just gonna send all these people away. But I still think that it is these energy flashes coming in, but it gives people opportunity to see and heal. I still, I don't, I think that would be way too many people that would be gone at this point. I think that there's way more about, and the way the awakening has gone so slow. Just think about how slow moving it is. So, and I even hear more stuff about, like, well, by the time 2030. So we got years. We got years to go through all of these changes and healing and stuff like that. And there could be, a bunch of solar flashes. There can be more storms and earthquakes and volcanoes and trauma and different things that are going to keep happening. But the but the people, but it's to help the people. It's to help them to start prioritizing and thinking different and seeing different and being different, because that's what changes everything. It's us. We have to change. And it's not going to just be like overnight. It's already been going so slow. So I don't know. I just think you got to keep that in mind because there's so much push on this. Oh, well, it's the whatever. It's like they're wanting to skip over all the parts of what you're really here for. And your soul is really here for the development, for you to develop and for you to go through these things and purge out and find your balance and be able to get clarity over who you are and what it is you want. And and then when we get to a world where everybody has that balance in themselves, and we're not trying to take from others or make or the only way we can feel good is if other people like us and stuff like that, is then when we get to a world that is based on freedom of existence, that's when we'll be in the age of Aquarius, as far as what I see. So anyways, I don't think, just because the world, we can be living in a different world by middle of July, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be living in a world that's just full of love and acceptance by middle of July. It's just that there's going to probably continue to be big changes leading up to where we're going to start living differently. Once we start living differently, that's going to probably free up people to really get more focused on their healing and more focused on what the world can be, what we can create in this place, and we can make it into a world that we want to live in. So many people hate this place, but we can create a world that's based on love and acceptance, and a beautiful place where we get to really love, live, and experience. Anyways, I've been talking an hour and a half. So, um, uh, well, I mean, I, that's your, well, we all have our own beliefs. So, anyways, was there anything anybody wanted to say? I guess we'll probably, oh, my eyes are really bugging me. Make sure. Oh, so Crystal, um, I guess we should wrap it up. So, anyways, whatever is going to be going on, it's important through all the things happening is to really focus on your healing. Really focus on learning how to love yourself, because that's why everything is happening in this world, is so you could learn how to love yourself, and that is saving yourself. That is prioritizing yourself, valuing yourself. And that's, once you can do that for yourself, then you can start doing it for other people. Then you can start loving and accepting everybody and realizing that we're all the same on the inside. And so we just need to have a world where we're all accepted and understand the world on a more spiritual, uh, what it's about, the experience and learning from the experience. And we're all at different points of our learning. So, anyways, I will be back in the morning and talk some more tomorrow. So we'll finish here and we'll wrap it up. And so thanks for joining in. Thanks for being here. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.